So today I want to talk about cycle syncing. So cycle syncing, first of all, is for women, and it's because we are not the same all month long. We actually go through different hormonal phases every month, just like the moon goes through phases. And the reason that this matters is that we have different needs in each phase. You can kind of think of your different hormones that come out to play. They kind of have different personalities. And because they have different personalities, they have different needs. So different needs in terms of nutrition, in terms of fitness and activity levels, in terms of lifestyle, even in terms of mood, right? And I mean, we know this, it makes sense. You don't feel the same the week right before your period as you do when you're ovulating, say, right? So the way to really optimize your health as a woman, and it's cool because as women we all go through these same hormonal shifts like a pattern, just like the phases of the moon, right? They're the same every single month. So once you learn what those phases are and how to best support yourself in each of those phases, which is what I teach, and I have a free resource on, by the way, In Sync Your Hormone Harmony Guide, which I will link below if you want to get started on that. Super easy. But that's how you really optimize, because then you know how to hack your hormones, right? How to best support yourself in every phase. So I do this with my nutrition. I switch up my nutrition according to what phase I'm in. And I also do it with my workouts. Now, I recently saw a podcast by a doctor that I actually really like. And she was interviewing another doctor, and they were saying, cycle syncing is not a thing. Women can work out the same every day of the month. Cycle syncing is just an excuse, like for us to, not work out during certain times. It creates fear because women think they can't work out during their period or something like that. And I wanted to address that because first of all, I don't completely agree with that, but they do have a kind of a point in there. So I wanted to, as a personal trainer who works with women, who has been training for many years and who has been cycle syncing my workouts for the past few years, I have some thoughts on this. Now, here's the thing. The way that my workouts, I lift weights all month long. I always do that. But the way that I change and tailor it to my hormones is I change the intensity or how heavy the weights are. So I have like a moderate week, then I have a heavy week, I go back to moderate, and then I have a light week. Now, even hormones aside, this makes so much sense, and I even do this with some of my male clients when I have a male client, because when you're lifting weights, you're not always lifting, you can't always lift the same exact amount of weights. Like if you're bicep curling with 10 pounds, and you're always only ever using 10 pounds. Even if it was challenging for you the first time you did it, your body's going to adapt and your muscles are going to adapt, right? And you're going to get to the point where that's not a stimulus for you anymore, right? Because your body always needs your metabolism, your muscles. We always need a new type of stimulus, which causes us to improve, right? To build more muscle. So after you've been curling with those 10 pounds for a while and it's starting to get easy, then you need to move up to 12 pounds or 15 pounds, right? That's progressive overload. And that's how you continue to strengthen, make strength gains, build your muscles, right? So following the cycle syncing method is perfect, because if I'm doing a moderate week and then I'm doing a heavy week where I'm doing the same bicep curls, but maybe I'm grabbing 15s or 20s instead of 10s or 12s, right? Then I go back to my moderate week, and then I have an easy week, which gives me, I still go to the gym, but, I take it easy. I pick up much lighter weights and do more reps. Now, this fits in perfectly with the hormones if you time it. So week 1, that moderate week, that's the menstrual phase. And week 2, the heavy week, that's ovulation phase. Now, ovulation is when we're the strongest anyway, because that's when we as women have testosterone coming in and we have the most stamina, the most motivation, and because we have higher levels of testosterone, we actually have better capacity to build muscle during that week than we do at other times of the month. Then when ovulation is over, hormones kind of dip, I go back to moderate. And then in progesterone, that week prior to your period, when we are naturally more tired and a little more irritable and craving carbs and don't have as much energy, I still go to the gym, but that's when I do the lighter week. And it also gives my muscles a chance to recover. So when I go back to the moderate and heavy weeks, I'm ready to go. And because I'm lifting, I'm doing the same exercises, but I'm lifting different weights, right? So bicep curls with maybe 10 pounds and then 15 pounds. And then, then I go back down to 10. So I'm shifting, and every week it's a new stimulus for my muscle, even though I'm following the same pattern. So what I wanted to say with that is I think that there's some women out there that are teaching, and I love that women are learning about cycle syncing. I think that's absolutely amazing, and every woman needs to learn about this. But I think there's some women out there that are teaching that, when you're on your period or when you're in this phase, you shouldn't work out, you shouldn't do anything. And that's not true. There's not a single time of the month where we can't work out as women. Now, obviously, some women have, really heavy, painful periods. You're not, if you're on day one of a really awful period, you're probably not going to feel like going to the gym, right? And that's okay. But there is no time of the month where we can't work out. We just need to be smart about how we tailor it and be intelligent and understand. And for me, this has really helped because there were many years where I trained before I knew about this. And inevitably, there was always that week where I didn't have the same amount of energy. And I didn't understand why suddenly I couldn't lift the same amount of weights. I didn't have the same motivation. And I've heard this from so many of my female clients, right? Where, man, there's just that one week every month where I just don't know what's wrong with me. It's like I can't keep up with things, and and we all kind of beat ourselves up about it, right? Well, that's progesterone. That's the week before our period. That's when we have the least amount of strength and energy and motivation. So it makes sense. So knowing this, it really just helps you better understand your body so you can work with yourself and not against it, right? So you don't need to punish yourself or feel like there's something wrong with you because you understand your cycles, right? So it's really valuable to know, but at the same time, it shouldn't be something that holds you back, right? When you're healthy and you have healthy, balanced hormones, you could work out any day of the month, right? Now, of course, we're taking rest days, we're following the patterns. Like I said, the progesterone week, I'm doing lighter workouts and, focusing more on recovery, but I'm still going to the gym. I'm still being active, right? So I think a lot of this is about discernment, because a lot of times there'll be a really useful tool like cycle syncing. And, it's absolutely necessary. I think every woman should know about this. Even if you don't have a period, it's still helpful. You're a woman, you're a cyclical being, your hormones are going to respond well to this. If you don't have a period, you can just simulate one, right? But I think sometimes these tools are taken to the max and they create fear, because then it's like, well, you shouldn't be working out during this time and you shouldn't be lifting weights during this time because you're in your luteal phase and da-da-da-da. And I think that's taking it too far, right? Let's use our common sense and let's find the middle ground, right? The middle ground in between. We as women should train exactly the same as men. We can train just as hard and heavy on every single day of the month, no matter when it is. Push through. No, I think most women don't agree with that, right? Our bodies don't work that way. But on the other hand, if you feel good and you want to work out during your cycle, I always do. There's nothing wrong with that. So it's just knowing the nuances and knowing your body and listening to it, right? And when you have that knowledge, you feel more comfortable pushing yourself when you know you can handle it. And you feel more comfortable giving yourself a little bit of grace when you know you need it. So all that to say, I think cycle syncing is an amazing resource. And if you want more information about how to tailor your workouts to each phase and what the phases are, they're actually super easy, even if it sounds complicated. I have a really straightforward, easy little handbook for you that you can follow that I love handing out to women and to my clients. And it just gives you those basics of what you need to know to get started applying cycle syncing to your workouts and to your nutrition. So I will link that below. Go ahead and check it out. I've gotten really good feedback about how helpful this guide is.